What is up, guys? This is Team Duelist Alliance 671 coming at you with the latest deck profile and an update actually for the Flower Cardian Exodia FTK. Now, I haven't updated this deck for over a year, and I felt that throughout the time I was playtesting this, I might have brought up some misconceptions about certain card effects. I myself didn't know fully about this deck. So now that I got to know this deck better, I could possibly show you guys an updated tutorial and an updated deck profile, of course, with some card effects better explained. Thanks to my older brother, that is also a judge. Maybe I'll be a judge one day. We'll see. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. And also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you do like this video. Start things off. Obviously, the god himself, all 5 pieces of Exodia, the forbidden one, Osiris. Funny thing, both Exodia and Slifer are technically Osiris, so the mythology goes Exodia is the mortal form where, he was Pharaoh, and then the gotta keep it rated G, the story goes where he was in pieces and Isis reassembled him, and then when he ascended into the afterlife, he became divine, which is Slifer. My friends are asking, it shouldn't be the other way around because Exodia just wins. Well, they both have different win conditions. Slifer just wins by turning 10,000 attack or something. Anyways, enough rambling about. For the Flower Cardian engine, 3 copies of Flower Cardian Pine. This is pretty much your Stratos of the deck. You draw a card basically. If it's a Flower Cardian, add it to your hand. If not, go straight to the graveyard. Simple as that. And yeah, pretty much. Then I might skim through some of these card effects, by the way, because I might show you guys a tutorial, either in a separate video or in this video if we have enough time. Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom. This one you can special summon when you control a level 2 or lower Flower Cardian monster. I forgot to add that in the last deck profile. And also, if you do choose to do that, you're locked to only Flower Cardians, which is fine. But there are some lane plays that you could go into if all else fails. Does it say for the rest of the turn? Let me read this really quick. For the rest of the turn. So you could possibly link some in if you have to, and then go into this, but we'll see. I do have some links in place, so I'll show you guys in a little bit. Also, you could tribute 1 Flower Cardian on the field, draw the 1 card on top of your deck, and if it's Flower Cardian, you add it to your hand, then you add 1 Flower Cardian from your deck to your hand, so this is pretty much reinforcement of the army. And if not, it goes straight to the graveyard, which is fine. 3 copies of Flower Curtain Cherry Blossom of Curtain. You notice how these are technically cards, but different versions. This deck pretty much breaks its own 4th wall. It's a card game within a card game. You reveal this card from your hand. If it's a Flower Cardian, you add to your hand, then you special summon it. If not, you send that card that you just drew and this card to the graveyard. I might have misunderstood this card in the last deck profile, so I do apologize for that. And hopefully I clear things out for you guys. So to continue, that does it for the lower level Flower Cardians. Now the main piece of the synchro summoning engine of the deck. Flower Cardian Pelonia with Butterfly. Now this one says you could tribute 1 Flower Cardian on the field and special summon it. Remember guys, I live on Guam. Half a day. I'm gonna hear a lot of chickens in the background. It's okay. Anyways, I hope you don't mind my backup singers. So yes, tribute 1 Flower Cardian in the field, special summon this one from your hand. Then his effect is as follows. Mandatory effect, by the way. Activate the top card of your deck. If it's a Flower Cardian, add it to your hand. Then you apply the effect. You look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and then you put it in the top or bottom of the deck in any order. So it's like a spiral, basically. One of those monsters that does that too. If not, they go straight to the graveyard. They pretty much almost all of them have the same effects, except certain members, like this one. 3 copies of Flower Cardian Willow. This is a once per turn effect. You can shuffle 1 Flower Cardian in your graveyard and then draw a card. Normally, when you go into your Synchro Summon engine, I'll show you how in a little bit. Like if you have a bunch of these guys on, or a bunch of this one on the field, a bunch of these ladies in the graveyard, you could return this, and then you just draw a card from your deck. You don't have to add anything back. You're gonna be sending a lot of her in the graveyard, by the way, because she's the main centerpiece of the Synchro Summoning engine. I'll show you in a little bit. You might as well from the other deck profile, but it's best if you stick to this one, so I could properly update you, gentlemen. And then for last of the Flower Cardian monsters, we run, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Last of the Flower Cardian monsters, only 2 copies of Zebra Grass, because I only want to draw this when we have a lot of Flower Cardians in our hand. We don't want to keep drawing it when we don't have Flower Cardians. Also, both these guys could special summon themselves, either when you control level 10 or lower Flower Cardian monster, or a level 7 or lower Flower Cardian monster. So these guys are pretty much the Keyzon or Grandmaster of the deck, basically. And they kind of work the same way, where they replenish the hand and replenish your resources. One day I'll make a pure variant, and I'll show you guys what this deck could do on their own, because they're very powerful on their own too, but we're just running the Exodia engine just for fun. So you could go and screenshot this, guys, if you want, for the monster lineup. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, moving on. Just to save you guys some time. Now we're moving on to the spell cards. So first things first, we run for the Flower Cardian engine. Sorry, stutter a little bit. 3 copies of Flower Stacking. It literally does what it says. You search your deck for 3 Flower Cardians of different names, and you stack it on top of your deck in any order. The second effect is kind of slow. You could, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you could banish this card and then add 1 Flower Cardian from your graveyard to your hand. In the pure variant, it'll probably be better, but in the turbo variant, you don't use the second effect as much, which is fine. And this is anti-ash, so they can't ash it because you're stacking it technically, or placing it on top. Funny card. Reincarnation. It's kind of like your monster reincarnation of the deck. You return 1 Flower Cardian from your graveyard to your hand, and then you could special summon 1 Flower Cardian from your hand, ignoring the summoning conditions. So if you have a Flower Cardian stuck in your hand, this is your answer. Also, if this is excavated from your top of your deck to the graveyard by a Flower Cardian effect, you could excavate the top 5 cards of the deck, and you could add 1 spell or trap amongst them, and then you place the rest of the cards on top in any order. So this is a really good way to stack up your restack your deck. So they're kind of like Sylvans in a way, where you can control what you put on top of your deck, but unfortunately they don't have like something like Mount Sylvania, so they could keep on doing consistently. But these 2 are still a major part of the engine, and it's a good way to restack the deck nonetheless and get what you need. So for the rest of them, I decided to cut Super All in to 1 because I feel you don't really need to activate it as much. And if you do, you only really need to activate 1. You don't really want to see this too often because it requires setup. But once you activate it, it's amazing. It's kind of a complex effect, so I'll go into detail about it later. Basically, all you need to know is that, like this one, if it's excavated by a Flower Cardian effect from your deck to your graveyard, during the end phase, you can return 1 Spore Trap from your graveyard to your hand. And also, you could return 1 Flower Cardian Synchro back to your deck, special summon 4 Flower Cardians from your graveyard. Doesn't have to be different names. Then you draw the top card of the deck. If it's a Flower Cardian, add to your hand and your monsters stay. Then you can special summon it. If not, all of your monsters are destroyed, then you pay half your life points. But normally if you special summon Flower Cardians that trigger when they hit the field anyways, then you're pretty much good to go. Like Zebra Grass. So this one says when you use normal special summon, you add any number of Flower Cardians from your hand back to the deck, then draw the same number of cards. Sorry I forgot to mention that, but that's one of the effects that trigger when they're summoned. One copy of Flower Gathering, just one, because again, you don't want to see this too often, and if you do want to activate it, you just have to activate one. You can only activate one anyways, unlike this one. This one just simply says special summon as many Flower Cardians from your deck straight to the field, but each of them have to have 100 attack and defense, and each of them have to have different names, and you're locked to only special summoning Flower Cardians this turn. So you could still link summon this deck theoretically, but you just gotta time these two carefully. So when you special summon this, remember you're locked in Flower Cardians. When you special summon it by his own effect. When you activate this one, you are locked in Flower Cardians, period, for that turn. So that's also one of the main reasons why I put this down to 1, so in case I have some link summoning plays. But other than that, it's a good jailbreak card and it's a good way to keep the deck going. Now for the pure spells, we run this main centerpiece of the deck. For the spells, the Desynchro. You pretty much synchro summon into your Moonflower Viewing like you saw in the previous deck profile and tutorial, and you keep on drawing a card from your deck and then keep recycling or resynchro summoning your monsters and keep drawing from your deck, which makes this deck a killer Exodia engine for FTK, one of the best synchro FTKs I've ever seen. 3 copies of Allure Darkness because you wanted that thin out your deck. I kept on going back and forth with this card with 2 or 3, but I realized like as long as we have a good synergy for the Flower Cardians, then we're good. Also, if we have flower stacking, this is a good way of drawing those cards so it doesn't stay on top of your deck. So Allure Darkness. So yeah, flower stacking makes it where you're at least guaranteed a target. 1 copy of Outstar Goblin, just to thin out the deck. I went ahead and took out Pot of Avarice because like sometimes I need the Flower Cardians in the graveyard. And now that I understand some of the effects better, I'm not worried about the Exodia pieces going in the graveyard because I added more of a certain other card. We'll get to that a little bit. 1 copy of Reinforcement in the Army, it's a given. They're all warriors, by the way, who would have thought. And you can search for a level 4 or lower Flower Cardians. So instead of running Pot of Avarice, we run now 2 copies of Monster Incarnation. Look at these babies. I got these from my older brother. Maybe he'll start his own channel, or maybe I'll ask him to do a deck profile and I'll introduce you guys, but we'll see. So Monster Incarnation, well, you know what it does by now. Discard 1 card from your hand, return 1 monster from your graveyard to your hand. So in case you excavate one of the Exodia pieces, that's fine. That's what the deck is meant to do. You just activate Reincarnation, you grab that last piece, and then you win. I normally wait until I draw the other 4 pieces, and then I activate this, and then I surprise my opponent, basically. Just gotta watch out for their DD Crow, but so far no one's playing that, so you're good. So that'll be it for the main deck, guys. Let's go to the extra deck really quick, and we'll see if we have enough time for a tutorial. If not, then we'll just do it in another video just for you guys. Okay, so next we run 3 copies of Flower Cardian Moonflower Viewing. She's a level 6 synchro, so FYI guys, when you synchro summon a Paulownia Butterfly, all materials that is used for this is treated as level 2. Even when they Nibiru you and they give you a token, you could treat that as a level 2. It's any monster, so you're good. So yes, this deck could power through Nibiru as well. That's cool. So she says, once per turn, I believe? Yeah. Soft once per turn, during May phase, draw 1 card. If you do, show it. If it's a Flower Cardian monster, then special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. So you do have to reveal it, unfortunately, but that's fine. And then this card can attack directly this turn. So even if your Exodia doesn't go through, you can still attack directly with this, and then maybe you win by time limit. It's that funny. And also, this also treats all other tuners for all other materials as level 2s when you synchro summon her. She's a tuner as well, by the way. That's an important thing to remember. And also you have to schedule your draw phase for the next turn. But that's fine. If you're FTKing, then it doesn't really matter anyways. Then we run 2 copies of Boardfly, because we can. It's graveyard lock. It's very good. So this one does piercing damage, basically. Then once per turn, you could banish 1 Flower Cardian from your graveyard. Until the end of the opponent's next turn, your opponent cannot activate effects or cards in the graveyard, also cannot special summon monsters from the graveyard. So it's pretty much Abyss Dweller. In a pure variant, you're probably going to see that more often. Light Shower, because, you know, it's Flower Cardians. Sometimes you do go into the pure engine, go into the engine itself if you don't draw Exodia in time. I do have a side in this for when you just want to go pure control, because the Flower Cardians are pretty strong by themselves. So this says not only this card, but all Flower Cardians you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. That's super strong, and that's not the best part. Once per turn, the opponent's end phase, you can apply one of these effects, skip the draw phase until the next turn. This card has its effects negated until the opponent's next standby phase. The reason why it has this is because it also says this. During your opponent's draw phase, if they draw cards from their normal draw, inflict 1,500 damage to the opponent. So this is really strong. So if you have like 2 or 3 of these guys on the field, you could deal 3,000 damage or 4,500 damage off of them just drawing during their draw phase. And you could stop yourself from taking that damage, basically. Because it says, I know, it just says the opponent, but, let's see. Skip the draw phase. Once per turn, skip the draw phase of your next turn. Okay, I see. It's just a drawback that they put, basically. My apologies. Gotta make sure that I don't give you guys any misconceptions. So, then also 2 copies of the big guy, Live Flare. He's pretty much Shein. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can negate a spell trap and destroy it. And if a Flower Cardian monster you control battles an opponent's monster, that opponent has its effects opponent's monster has its effects negated until the battle phase, during the battle phase only. So that's a good way of negating like any stuff that activates from the graveyard, like Sangan. You never know. And it's any Flower Cardian monster too. That's what I like about these boss monsters. And also, if this face-up synchro summon monster is destroyed by battle or leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian synchro monster from your deck. So you essentially special summon him, which is pretty good. Now for the links, since we have level 1s in this deck, 1 copy of Link Karibo. Again, as long as you don't play those other two cards yet that I mentioned, you can still link some in this deck. Then just for a little bit of utility, we run the Nightmare package, 1 copy of Nightmare Cerebus for monster destruction, 1 copy of Phoenix for spell and trap destruction, 1 copy of Unicorn for both basically, but for a higher price with 3 2+ link monsters. It's a link 3. Then 1 copy of Saryuja Skuldred. Obvious reasons, if you have 4 different names and you didn't activate anything that would stop you, then you could just go into this and draw the rest of the Exodia pieces, then put 3 cards you don't want back at the bottom of the deck, and sometimes you want some cards back in your deck. I'm not gonna lie. So that's a good way of replenishing your hand, basically. Okay, so that is our deck profile, guys. I think I made up my mind. I'm gonna go ahead and do a tutorial in a separate video alongside a tutorial for the 6 Samurai, my infamous Dragoon 6 Samurai. I know what you're thinking, guys. Maybe 6 Samurais don't need Dragoon. You're absolutely right, but I just want to try it out because if you get stopped, you can at least bring out Dragoon, and their resources are wasted basically. Because 6 Samurais are really good at bringing out 2 monsters. But off subject, our side deck, 2 copies of Nibiru because you can. This deck could play Nibiru and it can play against it. It's very strong. 1 copy of Regeki, underrated card but still works. 2 copies of Lightning Storm, hey! For, monster destruction and spell trap destruction. Harpy's Feather Duster, destroy all cards your opponent controls. That's it. Very simple effects. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. At a cost of 1,000 life points, banish 1 spell trap on the field by targeting it. Then 2 copies of Triple Tactics. Basically, you can only activate this card when your opponent activates a monster effect during your turn. Like, I don't know, hand traps or negates. And then you could apply one of these effects. Draw 2 cards to control one monster and doesn't target until the end phase. Look at the opponent's hand and choose one card from your hand, from it. Choose one card from it to shuffle to the deck. So this is a really good card, basically. And it kind of replenishes you in case you get hand trapped. One copy of Call by the Grave, because it's Called by the Grave. 2 copies of Gozen Match, because we have a lot of dark monsters in here, and we only ever go to dark monsters, so this is a good lock. So what you basically do is you side out of your Exodia if it's not working out for you, like they're stopping you too much. Then you surprise them with Flower Cardian control. I always throw off my opponent like that, and it always works. 2 copies of Rivalry of the Warlords. It's like the Dragon Link tech that they put in when you're running Dragon Links. It stops Dragoon. That's why it's here. And other decks as well. I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Dogmatica Shadows. But anyways, it's mainly for Dragoon. So yeah, that'll be it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. I wanted to get some things clear so you don't misunderstand anything from my last deck profile. And I just felt that this is a good way to update the deck. So that will kick off our Thanksgiving deck profiles. I'm not sure if you would think of this as a Thanksgiving deck. Here, Thanksgiving. Or yeah, Thanksgiving myself or yourself when you're playing this deck. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, guys, and please be safe.